Hi everyone, my name is Jess Mears. I'm a development coordinator for the Libertarian Party, and I'm going to share with you today how you can change your community to make your community more free. So, first thing I'd like to recommend is if you've never been to a city council or county commission meeting, I highly recommend that you go to one and learn what it's like to be part of the process. Your city council will usually have online their meeting dates as well as the agenda in advance. So you can take a look at the agenda, see what your city council is going to be voting on, and then prepare yourself to speak out on a subject that maybe you disagree with. So perhaps there's going to be a tax increase, or there's going to be something voted on that you feel infringes on the freedoms of the citizens of that community. You can speak out on it. Maybe prepare a written speech. Oftentimes there's a time limit, 3 minutes is kind of the usual. And maybe your voice, just by being at that meeting, can change the opinion of your city councilors, your county commission, a local board, and that they may not have thought about your perspective. Oftentimes the libertarian perspective is so unique that they may not have realized that there's a practical solution to an issue that otherwise would have cost taxpayers more money, become an infringement on people's rights. So it's very important that you as a citizen are involved in this process. The reason why I wanted to do this video today, I know you're talking about community organizing for libertarian efforts, but I wanted to share with you a different perspective on how to accomplish the mission of libertarians locally without ever having to form a county affiliate. So I know that forming a county or a city council is a great thing to do because it provides a mechanism for people to get involved when they want to. But I wanted to take a look at a greater picture, and this will, if it's implemented successfully, hopefully multiply your efforts. And then once you've done this, you can then go back and create this county affiliate or the city council with the people that you have then recruited. So we're going to be talking about issues-based activism. And one thing that we do a lot as libertarians is we encourage people to run for office, which is wonderful. It's always great to have a choice on the ballot. However, the Democrats and Republicans have always been better organized than us. They are so well fine-tuned in getting candidates elected that we struggle to keep up. So I think one thing we need to think about is making sure that our candidates that we're running for office have actually done something locally and they have a following locally. So I want to share with you a way that maybe you might be a prospective candidate someday. You can then take this kind of concept and then plan in a few years from now to have built a base, and then you can then run for office off of what you have accomplished. So let's talk about issues. Being involved in your local community, you can change your community much easier than you can change your federal government. We often focus on the federal government with issues like taxation and war, governmental spying. These are things that it's not as easy for us to change as it is to change a local law. So that's why I want us to focus on local laws, because we can actually change the community to make it more free. So I'm going to take an issue that's close to me, and that's backyard chickens. I am a backyard chicken enthusiast. I have 4 chickens in my backyard. This is a right that my local government gives me, but other cities do not have this right. And I think it's completely wrong that people cannot have backyard chickens in their backyards to feed themselves without fear that their local government would come and take their chickens or fine them or whatever. So let's take the backyard chicken issue. You can use any issue and use the same model to enact change in your community, but I'm just taking chickens because it's one that's close to me. So any law that you disagree with in your local community, you're very likely to find that there's going to be other people that disagree with you. It's just not very many people take the time to look at their local laws and their local ordinances and find one that says that and say, this actually infringes upon my rights, everyone else's rights, and it's wrong, and I'm going to do something about it. So that's what I want you to do, is to do something locally. And when you do this, it can be very powerful, and it can be a huge benefit for the libertarian efforts. And when you do it, let me know so I can share it with everyone. I can maybe write an article about it, or I can publicize the effort that you have done. So backyard chickens. Some cities do not permit people to have backyard chickens. And the way you can go about getting backyard chickens legalized in your community is, first of all, start with your online. You can go to the city clerk's or the county clerk's website, do a search if they have a keyword search for chickens. If they do not have keyword search functions, stop in their office and say, hey, I want to explore the public records. I want to find where the city council has talked about chickens in the past. Now, they should usually be very helpful. Sometimes there's a fee. It should be pretty small, but most things are digital these days, so searching shouldn't be too much of an issue. Then once you've searched and you found the prior meeting minutes where chickens were mentioned, go through them, see what happened. Were people coming to city council meetings in the past and asking them to legalize chickens and they voted it down? See the issues why they voted it down. Perhaps maybe they didn't provide enough research. The citizens need to provide research to show the city council this is why you should do it. Now, oftentimes the citizens that have maybe tried this in the past wouldn't have gone about it the right way. And the right way is to show that there's community support for changing a law. So if you want to do like backyard chickens, what you can do is you can form a group of people, a citizens initiative, start with just a few people, and then you can expand it. Go to stores like organic food stores and ask the business owner if they'd be willing to participate in the citizens initiative. You're oftentimes, when you find an issue, you can find people that will agree with you. You may not have the same political affiliation, and that's totally okay. We need to, as libertarians, work outside of our party boundaries to get things accomplished, because we're a much smaller party. And if there's something like the backyard chickens, you can find plenty of people who don't even have a political affiliation that might feel strongly about people having backyard chickens, and then they'll be on board with you. And as the process goes along, maybe you can pitch a little bit about libertarianism, or at the end you can maybe say, hey, this was the local libertarians that championed this issue. We were able to get backyard chickens legalized. We would like maybe to do this with another issues or something else that you care about, and then you can go on from there. So we've talked about getting business owners on board, maybe finding other people. Look on Facebook for like backyard chicken groups and post in there and say, hey, I live in this city. I would like to get backyard chickens legalized. Is there anybody else that would like to be part of this with me? So once you've started forming some people, you can then get a petition process going on. So talk to your city manager or your county administrator and say, hey, I'm here. I'm interested in forming a group. We've done the research. I've seen that in the past your city council has or hasn't voted on backyard chickens. We're preparing the research, and we're also trying to gather community support to show the city council that there is support in the community to change this law. Your city manager is probably the best person to approach before you approach the city councilors, just to give them a heads up. And then maybe you might want to ask the city manager if it's appropriate at this time to start scheduling meetings with city councilors. So you can schedule a meeting with the city councilors and let them know what you're doing, what you're working on, and ask if maybe one of them would be the person to put forward a motion to legalize backyard chickens. What you'll need to do is find city ordinances in other cities that replicate what could be possible in your city. So my city allows for 4 backyard chickens, allows for hens only because roosters are pretty noisy, and I live in a pretty densely populated city where the homes are sometimes only a few feet apart. So I feel like this is it's obviously an infringement on our rights to restrict the amount of chickens and the kind of chickens that I can have, but I am being completely reasonable with the fact that roosters are very loud. So you kind of need to find out and gauge from your city council what they'd be willing to approve. If you try to go for like something that's kind of that's kind of not necessarily rational, you may not be able to get your law passed, or your ordinance passed that you're trying to work on. So just try to work on something that would increase the freedoms, but that the city council is likely to approve. So you will meet with your city councilors and hopefully get somebody that would say, I will, if you draft this ordinance, our city attorney looks at it, our city manager looks at it, I'll consider putting it forward. But your city councilor might want some community support behind it. So at that point, you get all the people that have agreed with you about the issue to do a petitioning process. So you can create a petition. It would say something along the lines like, I live here and I agree with this, and I support this effort. So I created one for backyard chickens. It just had name, address, phone number, and email address, so I can follow up with these people. And it said in a little box at the top that I support like 5 chickens in backyard, hens only. And then you print those out, share them with the people that are interested in getting this law enacted, and have them go out and get these petitions collected at a local place where people who will have a similar interest will likely frequent. An example would be an organic food store, a feed store, and you're going to want people that live within that area, because otherwise the city councilors will probably not likely take it as into consideration if it's people living outside of the community that they represent. So you'll want to get these signatures, and you can decide how many signatures would be a compelling case. For the city of Clearwater, which I was working on, we thought 100 signatures from residents would probably be compelling for the city councilors. So we worked on getting the signatures, and we then we came to a halt. So I'll just go ahead and continue from where we had halted from. But then you'll want to deliver those petitions to the city manager, give them some recommended ordinances from other cities, and then they'll have their city attorney draft it. Then one of the city councilors can call for a public hearing, and then their public hearing can be held on this ordinance. And at that point, you'll want to use all the data that you've collected from the petitioning process to mobilize these people and get them to come to the public hearing. So at the public hearing, they'll speak out on the issue, they'll share their thoughts, their opinions, and if a majority of the people at this public hearing are in favor of the ordinance, it's very likely that your city councilors will understand that their constituents want this to be passed, and very likely that they will pass it. So that is just one way that you can change your community. You never have to form a county affiliate, and you've just created freedoms for people. And then after this has happened, you've gone through this process, you as the person organizing it are going to have a voice in the community. Your city council knows you, your constituents are going to start knowing you, and this is going to give you a great footing for running for office in the future. Maybe the people that were involved in the petition initiative, like for example the backyard chickens, may not identify with your political party, but they may then start identifying with you and realizing that you're a person that's worked on their behalf to get something done for them, and they may vote for you in the future. So I recommend this process because it actually shows results, and it's very rewarding, and leads to potentially a really good run for somebody for office. So I hope you'll consider my suggestions, and sorry if it was a little tangential, but I prepared this very shortly this morning. So thank you for spending today organizing local efforts in Connecticut. I appreciate your time. Bye.